It's not necessary, but do like or dislike the video. The name of the movie is One Missed Call, 2008. In this film story, people get a call on their phone. As soon as people pick up the phone, they get a voice message, in which they have their own voice. And this call is not of the present time, but of the future time, in which 1 day, 2 days, 3 days time is included. Then as soon as that time comes, that person dies. So it starts with showing a burned hospital, where firefighters were extinguishing fire, and they had to save a child's life. And she started asking the child, was your mom also inside? But the child does not answer. Next we see a girl, Shani, who was sitting near her house's small pond. Suddenly she started hearing a voice from the water. As soon as she went near and saw, a hand comes out of the water and grabs her face, and pulls her into the same pond. After which a crab comes out of the water, which children eat. And then that hand grabs Shani's cat from the street, dives into the water and kills. The story now went a few days ahead. We see some students who were partying. There was a girl in the party, Beth. Her friend came to meet her. They both go into the room, and start talking about Shani's death, because all these students were friends. During their conversation, Beth's friend got a call on her mobile. But surprisingly, this call was coming from Shani's number, and the ringtone of these calls was also different, which was a lorry. As soon as she picks up the call, there was a voice message. Upon hearing this, Beth's friend had her own voice, in which she was screaming. She does not understand anything. That what is this? She was surprised and worried. Now a detective is called to the police station, to identify a corpse, which was the corpse of the detective's sister, from whose mouth the candy comes out. Now the thing to note here is that, a candy came out of Shani's mouth while dying, which meant that these deaths must have some connection. So remember this. After 2 days, we see Beth and her friend in college. When she was in the class, Beth's friend started hallucinating. That is, such thoughts, such things were being written, which were not even real. As if she saw a scorpion on Beth's hand. After the class is over, Beth asks her to have coffee, but she refuses to go with her and comes to the library. After the library is closed, Beth's friend, when she was going home, then she also starts hallucinating. Everywhere she was seeing a lot of evil spirits, from which she was very scared, because apparently everyone was very scary. In fear, she calls Beth. She says, do not worry, I am with you. I will reach in 2 minutes. But she was so scared, that her condition began to deteriorate. Fearing, she fell from a high place. She had an accident by crashing into a train. She was so injured that she died immediately. Meanwhile, Beth also reached here, and seeing this incident, she also heard a strange kind of voice. When she came to her friend's corpse, then a candy comes out of her mouth. Beth checks her phone, in which the contact number was going up and down. It felt like someone was trying to get another number. After this, 2 girls in college were talking about this incident, that Beth's friend also died. Her and Shani's death happened in the same way, because of a phone call. After hearing this, Beth's male friend started getting angry at her. Stop this nonsense. There is nothing like that. All these things were fake. It's nonsense. Beth also came here. She says, no, this is not wrong. It's just like that. And her death happened because of a phone call. Immediately, Beth's male friend also started hallucinating, and she was also seeing scorpions. She felt a little strange. That's why he leaves from there. Beth also followed him. Then her male friend started telling that I also have such a call, and the time on it is after a while. Immediately, her friend also saw a devil there. He got very scared. He starts leaving from there. Beth calls him, because he was leaving his mobile there. When he came back to take the mobile, then he was saying something, which was in that voice message. Immediately, there was an explosion here. A rod comes and his fire goes through, due to which he also dies. Here too, Beth heard a strange voice. Immediately, her friend also said something. Looking at the whole situation, Beth meets a lady police officer, and she was telling that my 2 friends died suddenly. Before dying, she got a call. I think her death had something to do with the call. After dying, she also got a canis in her mouth. The police officer was listening to her carefully, but she does not believe. But all these things of hers, the detective hears, whom we saw in the beginning, whom was called to the morgue. He tells Beth that a few days ago, my sister also died in the same way, Shelley, whose death was due to drowning in the pond. She and my sister were nurses in a hospital. First, my sister died. Then after 2 days, Shelley's, my sister's mouth also had a red candy. That's why I also believe that these phone calls, candies and these deaths have something to do with it. He then gives his mobile number to Beth and says that if you need any help, contact me. I will also tell you the details of the phone calls of all these dead people. When Beth comes home, she sees that her roommate Tanny, who was living with her in this house. She was very scared. She tells Beth that my number was also in our male friend's mobile. I will get the next call, but I don't want to die. To relax her, Beth takes out her and her mobile's batteries, and says that look, I took out the batteries. Now relax, we won't get any call. But at night, when these 2 girls were sleeping, there is a ringtone. And this ringtone was also ringing, which was coming on Beth's roommate's mobile. Although her mobile did not have a battery, but still the same call was coming. This call was also 2 days later, which made the roommate cough, because the voice message had the voice of the roommate's scream. The night passed like this, but as soon as it was morning, these girls broke her mobile. Then a man came to meet the roommate, who was the owner of a live TV show. He found out that the next call had come to the roommate. That's why he wanted to bring him to his TV show, so that whatever is happening with the roommate at the time of his death, he could show all this live at the TV show. And when he saved the roommate's life, everyone saw this thing. But Beth forbids him to do this, and comes back home with the roommate. The roommate had to say that we should listen to that man. Who knows, he might help us. But still Beth refused him. The next morning the roommate was not there. She had gone. On the way, she left a note for Beth. That I am going to my mom and dad. Then the detective comes to Beth and tells that I have taken out all the phone call records, from which I have come to know that every dying person, the one who died before him had called. Like my sister to Shelley. Shelley then to your friend, whose death was due to a train accident. She then to your male friend. The surprising thing was that all the calls, they were talking about their death, from their number. He then tells that a woman had called my sister, who was sick, and now I am going to her house, to find out the truth. On which Beth also goes with him. After reaching that woman's house, the detective starts searching. There he finds a video CD recorded with a small camera. This camera is used to keep an eye on children. In the video, this sick woman had 2 daughters, in which the eldest daughter's name was Annie. But even after searching, the detective does not find that small camera here. Like the video was made, there he finds an inhaler, the same inhaler used by breathing patients. It was like a pump, from which as soon as the detective presses, a voice came from it. After hearing the voice, Beth gets very scared. She tells the detective that when my friend, and the death of the male friend, then I heard the same voice there, but from where the voice was coming, there was no one there. After further searching, the detective found out that the death of that sick woman's eldest daughter Annie was due to a heart attack. That is, she had a breathing problem, and this inhaler was hers, along with her younger sister. Her mother had taken her to the hospital 9 times, because her younger daughter was injured in a different way. Like sometimes her water goes, sometimes the needle gets stuck in her head, sometimes someone takes a shampoo. After knowing all this, Beth tells the detective that I have understood everything. Actually, that sick woman had some mental illness, because of which she used to injure her own children. Then she used to get them treated in the hospital. She used to take care, so that those children could not take more care. Here she also found out that in the hospital, the treatment of the daughters of that sick woman, their nurse also inquired from that woman that her elder daughter had a breathing problem for a long time. And why does the younger daughter get injured again and again? Here I tell you that she was the inquiring nurse, and no one else but the sister of the detective, whose death was the most painful. Now on TV, Beth sees her roommate in that live show, where the owner of the TV show will show everything that is going to happen to him live. Seeing which these two quickly leave for that church, where this show was going to happen. Meanwhile, the roommate calls Beth and apologizes that forgive me, I did not listen to you, and I came to this show. It is shown in the show that the roommate also began to have hallucinations. The same devil began to appear around him. As Beth and the detective came here, the lights turn off on their own, after which some evil force comes and attacks the roommate. She kills him by stopping his breath. The light came back. Beth sees her roommate dead. Candy comes out of her mouth too. Then Beth gets a call from her roommate, in which yesterday night, it was 7 o'clock 55 minutes. On picking up the call, in the voice message, Beth's voice, in which she was screaming, which means, the next number to die, was Beth's. That's why the detective, to protect her, with her, he stays at his house. When the next morning happened, both were very worried, because they only had evening 7 o'clock. It was time for 55 minutes to save Beth. The detective then, that patient woman's daughter, that is, Annie's younger sister, got to know, which is now, in an orphanage, such a place, where those children are kept, who's in this world, there is no one, going there, got to know, that this girl, there is no one else. In fact, the girl at the beginning, which firefighters, who saved her from the hospital, these two, asked her about her mother, but like the beginning, she does not answer. When the firefighters asked that your mother was in the hospital, but then, from the hair of the girl, the sound of a lorry started coming, and this lorry was the same, which used to ringtone. Anyway, ignoring this, Beth and the detective came out. He decides that we will go separately. Annie's mother will collect information about the patient woman, but as Beth started going from there, her eyes went to Annie's sister's window, behind whom a ghost was standing. After which, Beth decides to go to that hospital, where Annie and her younger sister was treated. About this, she was also telling the detective that going to that hospital, she tries to go inside, but the front door was locked. So, she tried to go through the back door, but this door was also locked. But then, it opens on its own, coming inside the hospital. Beth started looking for clues, but then, some evil force, in the dark, Beth attacks, and pulling. She started taking her with her. Because of this, she was very scared. She screams loudly, as soon as she saved her life, and ran away from there. Beth gets the detective here. These two try to get out of here, but can't get out, because all the doors were locked. Then, as soon as she came into the room, some evil force now attacks the detective. She picks him up in the air and throws him out of the room, due to which the detective was so hurt that he fainted. The door of the room is also locked. Beth, here, a small ventilation path is visible, in which she immediately went to get out of here. When she was on that path, then on her mobile, constantly, a call was coming. Then, Beth, here, a burnt corpse, whose condition was very bad. She had a mobile in her hand, through which Beth's phone was getting a call. Beth immediately snatches the phone from her and breaks it. As a result, the corpse also got a little upset. Seeing this, Beth started running away from there. Behind her, the corpse also ran away. Coming close, she comes on top of Beth. She was very scared. She says to the corpse, "Please, don't hurt me," means, "Don't hurt me." Beth repeatedly was repeating this line, that "Please, don't hurt me," due to which the corpse also doesn't do anything to Beth. Instead, she says, "Forgive me," means, "Forgive me." Then, here, the detective also came. He sees that it's 7:55 p.m. But Beth didn't die. She survived. The next moment, all those police officers came to save her life. Beth says to the detective that I was brought here, not because to be killed, but because to save my life. That burnt corpse didn't save my life. The detective goes to the orphanage to meet Ellie's sister, but she was asleep. The detective there gets the child's hair, and he found out that it's a small camera. Actually, it's hair, means it's a camera, but it has the shape of hair, which keeps an eye on the child. From that, the detective started watching the video, and he found out that it's not the child's mother, but her elder sister. Ellie used to torture her, used to hurt her, every day, in a different way. She used to hurt her sister. By doing this, she used to enjoy a lot, but one day, her mother saw that Ellie was cutting her younger sister's hand. Ellie, on this act, her mother got very angry. She locked her in that room and took her to the hospital. Meanwhile, Ellie got a heart attack. She started calling her mother, but meanwhile, she died. With the detective, this video, Ellie's younger sister, means the child was also watching. He asks the child that your sister used to torture you about this. Why didn't you tell your mother? The child said, after hurting me, my sister used to give me a candy. That's why I hid this from my mother. And then Beth, when she was alone at home, she had Ellie's soul, which Beth couldn't see. Then the detective came here. He tells Beth everything, which he saw in the video, and says that you were right. Ellie's soul is killing everyone, and her mother saved your life, which was a burnt corpse. The door of their conversation got opened. The detective starts looking through the hole in the door, although Beth also refuses to do so, but he doesn't agree. The next moment, a knife comes out of that hole. The detective also gets into his eyes. He got into his mind by tearing his head, and then the door opens. Ellie's soul comes in to kill Beth, who had now become completely evil. But once again, then Ellie's mom comes here and saves Beth's life. The detective's condition was so bad that his wife also dies. A candy comes out of his mouth. His phone number starts dialing automatically for the next victim. Now here, I'll give you a summary of this movie, and that Ellie was evil. Actually, since childhood, she had evil deeds, like, after hurting her sister, she gave her candy, but when she died, she became a complete evil. And then, after killing people, she gave them candy. That's why, from everyone's mouth, candy came out, and the way she died, while calling her mom. Similarly, after killing people, from her number, she used to call the next victim, and with this story ends here.